I will admit they subverted my expectations on who the real monsters were. I don't think I thought it was going to be the kids.
Or if it's actually just the humans like we thought. I don't know if it's actually a subversion. Because the people who got punished, the real monsters, were the humans.
The winners were the children, who I think are the monsters, because they all suck and they've been murdering people. I'm interested to see what the public perception is. But that was a very, very stupid episode.
And it didn't feel like a finale.
Not at all. Not even a little bit.
The weird little cliffhanger of Yutani coming to the island, that sets up not a season 2, but a season finale.
It's just weirdly unsatisfying in pretty much every regard. It doesn't deliver on the promise of the premise. It's called Alien Earth. And yes, the alien is on Earth, but like the idea of Earth is that there's people on it and there's infrastructure, innocent people, like people going about their daily lives.
Yeah.
Predator 2.
I was thinking Predator 2.
Predator City.
That is a great metaphor. The difference between Predator 1 and Predator 2.
Episode 2 kind of does that for about 3 seconds, or at least alludes to it, because it's, actual people with a xenomorph nearby. But not at all. Instead, we go to an island where the only people on the island are our hero children, the evil adults that are holding them down. They don't hold them down at all. Their whole job is to build them up and make them perfect beings. But the kids hate that. And soldiers that are fodder, which is basically every other Alien movie. And it just doesn't wrap up any of the arcs. It wraps up people in the way that it puts them all together. And then I guess something can happen from here because, again, this isn't a finale.
No, this is... Someone wrote like a really long episode 1 and then divided it into 8 pieces.
Realized it was 7 hours and he's like, let's just do it.
Yeah, there was no arc. Not even really for Wendy.
She changes.
She changes and she found who she really is. She said it herself. She's not Marcy. She's not Wendy. You know, she's someone completely different.
But isn't that the turning point of an arc where it's like, I need to discover who I am?
Yes.
Not at the end of the story. They're like, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
She does change. She goes from being a nice young girl, I guess, who just wants to learn, to being an evil... She turns into Mithrigan.
Yes.
Because she's like controlling technology and like haunting people. She's Mithrigan by the end of this.
But also, even though she's a child who's all about saving her brothers and sisters, she's completely fine with killing human beings.
Not even fine. Encouraging it.
She was a human being for 12 years and she's been a cyborg for 2. But because this feels more like her family, she's fine with them killing whomever she wants. I really hated that conversation between her and Joe, where I'm like, Joe, tell her that Nibs was killing people and that it was about to kill her friend. And he did. He started saying that. I'm like, oh, thank God, a smart character.
Yep.
But then she just shuts him down with more logic.
It's her version of this is my truth and this, whatever I say goes.
And he even said to her, God, you're really acting like a child. And it's like, he needs to explain to her. And people are going to say, but she is a child. It's like, yes. Children can't just do whatever they want because they talk louder than you.
It's arguing with a brick wall.
Yes.
They're not trying to get across a message. There's no existentialism here where they're like, what is a human? This is just like, if you argue with a child that disagrees with you and is just like, no.
Don't you understand, Dan? This is what they were fearing. They gave children the bodies of gods.
But then forgot to give them an off switch, gave them Wi-Fi so that they can insta-hack everything.
Gave one of them literally the power to mess with all technology.
And then connected all technology, including his robot manservant.
/ dad.
That is the closest thing we get to a reveal this whole season, I think. And even then,
reveal.
That moment was you going, he's a robot. Like,
it was you kind of calling it as it's happening. But then nothing happens with that because the second you find out he's a robot...
He's suddenly strong.
He's very strong, but I guess he never had to prove it before.
That's the thing. He's not a robot up until he's revealed to be a robot.
Yes.
You could rewatch this whole series and nothing changes.
Because he gets just halted.
Immediately. All him becoming a robot does is mean he's easily defeated. So basically, him and Marcy walk into a room. In scenario 1, he's not a robot. He's a normal manservant. She kicks his fucking head off. Scenario 2, he's a robot. She pauses him and is like, this is dramatic. Like, the two options that we had presented to us are stupid.
There should have been a invincible moment. There should have been like a moment where she like crushed his head or something as a human.
Yep.
And then she was like, I thought you were stronger, because he just like wallops the shit out of him.
Yet another weird thing about Marcy. Marcy hasn't committed any atrocities herself. She's been asking other people to do them. So she gets the alien to kill countless people.
People who aren't the bad guys, by the way. They're just wages. They're people on the...
They're just following orders.
The brother, Joe, him and his team just ended up on the island because they got saved. And they're like, well, we're just going to work here.
And Wendy doesn't care that Joe's friends are in danger. She cares that Joe's in danger, but his friends all deserve to die just as much as anybody else.
Well, they pointed guns at them.
Did she blow them up in an elevator?
I think it's just her showing that she's messing with all the people. Because, like, she made the lady go crazy because she was playing the videos of them being kids. She was going to blow up the elevator. She was messing with boys' technology, so he was like, meh.
It's not like she used that to save them by getting them away. Like, she didn't lock them in a room and be like, I'm not going to kill you, but you're going to foil my plan, so I'm going to keep you there. She legitimately just kills so many people.
All the guards. There's like a montage at the very start.
And it's not making more of itself. It's doing what Marcy bids, which is kill everyone. So she's stupid and not likable, isn't our protagonist, even though technically she should be. Yes, you can have a protagonist that you don't like and does naughty things, but she isn't at all, and none of the kids are. The rest of the kids are empty enough that they don't really have an arc at all. Like, Arush gets angry enough to knock out Morrow, but never actually gets revenge or kills him. Disappears apart from that. Curly, her whole arc is basically, I want to be the favorite. No, you're not the favorite. Okay, I'm going to turn on you when Marcy tells me to turn on you. Like, she's on and off. Nibs is just like a psychopath, but does the exact same thing of, is normal, goes crazy, joins the revolution. Isaac dies. Isaac is probably the only pure one.
Yeah, he was uncorrupted.
Yeah, we liked Smee up until he, like, turned on Kirsch, even though, again, Kirsch had been relatively nice to everyone.
He helped them with their smuggling. They were like, boys, the elevator's this one.
Yes, he didn't get them in trouble. Kirsch that they were building up the whole time turns into nothing.
He's now just disabled.
The way they were setting up Kirsch the whole time was, oh, he's doing his own thing. He's got an evil plan going on. Oh, what are we doing here? No,
not at all.
No, he's also a fucking moron because the way everyone breaks out, we should talk about how everyone breaks out. We hard cut from last episode to this episode. Everyone's been put in a cage. So we got Joe and Morrow in one cage, and then we have all the kids in the other cage. These cages are not designed for synthetics.
They tell us that 1 second into the episode.
We don't know how long they can stay in there in a voiceover. But that doesn't matter because Wendy hacks her way out of it just like she would have hacked her way out of anything. They know she can hack. They watched her hack multiple episodes ago. They also watched her release the Xenomorph. So they should have just turned her off.
They have that ability, by the way. When they wiped Nibs's mind, they put her into the bed.
That would be step one, is to wipe their memory. So wiping Nibs's memory also turned into nothing because she was told at the next episode. This is just a really badly written show.
It felt like it was a jumbled mess.
Not only in a plot perspective, because we've got nothing going on for most of the time, but like the characters don't really do anything. But she breaks out using that power that everyone knows she had. It could be solved by having a guard watch her.
They reference it in the first or second episode. Wendy's literally in her cell, hand like fed through the bars, flicking through screens, changes it to Bergenbeard, starts watching last week's Alien review, subscribes, and she found the member option. Did you know you can pay us? Thanks, two guys.
But they don't do that. And also, Morrow and Joe are in prison. They have literally one guard in there, and Marcy lets them out as well, because why not? Like, that's what we do in this show. We lock them up just to let them out in the next scene, changing nothing. Like, all this did was get everyone together so they could have some, like, little dialogue time.
Wouldn't she think that Morrow would hurt Joe?
She should have.
He says that he's going to kill everything, kill everyone. Joe is Prodigy. He works for Prodigy. And he shot at him before, even though he says, I saved you.
And Wendy has never spoken to Morrow. Like, everything she should know about him is that he's a bad guy. Arush at some point would have said, hey, that guy is the one that threatened my mum and made me get low sperm count killed. Instead, no, she sets him free. We were speculating this. We're like, okay, they're going to do a cool Captain Hook thing where they broke his hand into like a hook or like bent his blade so he can't do anything.
Yes.
But they put a metal bollard on it so that it looks like Hellboy is what you said.
Look at that wormer. And they just put a padlock on it.
Yeah.
Or like a little key lock. They're in a scientifically, technological, advanced island. Imagine his entire left arm was just disabled for the rest of the episode.
And that would have been interesting. But instead, the one key is on the guard in the room with him. It's like putting the armory next to the jail cell so you can walk out of the jail and like immediately get kitted up because it looks cool in the shot. Stupid.
And then we cut to Boy. Probably the most he's in any episode, he's in this one.
But he still manages to do nothing.
And talk about how he's the smartest and talk about his achievements, but prove it zero.
And that is another unfulfilled thing from the season. Boy Cavalier was meant to be a genius the whole time, never proves it. In one of the episodes, he misquotes Isaac Asimov for Arthur C. Clarke.
Asimov said above a certain level, technology is indistinguishable from magic.
So everyone was like, holy shit, is he not actually a genius? And he's like, he's been lying. He's been doing some weird schemey thing because like you can't misquote that. But now I'm wondering whether the script actually just had it wrong.
Well, in this episode's script, they said that he built his first synthetic at 6 years old.
Yep.
An entire man, a distinguished gentleman who was strong enough to kill a human.
If he's doing that at 6, he is a genius. Up until the point he says that, you could have that whole like headcanon-y theory where you're like, okay, he's been lying about being a genius.
He's just like a nepo baby.
Yeah.
And like it was his father's company, killed his father.
Because he's actually stupid. But no, he's actually a child genius who built a robot that has been with him his whole life. But then Wendy has decided that he is actually just a mean, grown-up man.
Wendy bullies a kid with ADHD.
He does. I'm not saying we won't have ADHD in the future. I'm just saying that Kirsch is treating his ADHD exactly the same way you treat it now. So no, he's just a genius. So that's completely like anything interesting about Boy Cavalier where it's like, oh, he was a trickster. He's not. And 3 episodes ago at this point, he's like, I want that sheep's eyeball in a human. But not for a little while. I'm not going to do it. At the end of last episode, he decides it's going to be Joe that gets the eye, but he doesn't do that.
He doesn't do anything.
He just sits in his chair.
He gets angry when his internet starts conking out.
Because of the hacker girl he knows can do that. And he has Joe locked up in a cell. So instead of when they arrested Joe, bringing him to Eyeball and putting Eyeball in Joe, he instead locks up Joe with the worst person?
Yeah.
Not any of Morrow's men. None of Morrow's men are able to be seen. He broke into this island with like 5 other guys.
All dead.
They're all gone. He let them go because it's just Morrow and Joe, the only 2 main characters.
The only 2 humans.
Yes, literally. And again, nothing happens with Morrow because Morrow gets captured that episode. He walks around this episode, punches Kirsch a little bit to break Kirsch's spine. In a decent fight, if it had any kind of cool resolution, that would have been a cool fight because you're like 2 super strength people. But as soon as he cracks Kirsch in half, I'm like, oh, so Kirsch's story is over. Like Kirsch isn't doing anything like genius level intellect. He's not working for himself. He's just down now. And then Morrow also gets put down. So I'm like, okay, so the 2 most interesting people, Morrow and Kirsch, are now doing nothing. Explain yourself, Noah. I don't like blaming creatives behind things, but like,
You have to.
it's...
Because we can't blame the set designers.
Oh god, the set designers are still smacking it.
I've seen some people who are like, yeah, the sets look great because they're just copying all the other Alien stuff. Like they have like almost like a source material to work on. But I think we have to give them a bit more credit than that.
Yes, it is just a evil island base. An island base filled with mold killers
Yeah.
that did nothing.
Oh, don't worry. That's a mystery box.
Like episode 1, I think we see this random mysterious mold guy.
He's one of the first things you see.
He's got to fight an alien. He's got to do anything.
Or it's like it's not actually killing mold. He's holding back another different beast.
Yeah, like something's
There's
happening.
a predator in there or
but
something.
it really is just Thailand is pretty humid. So there's mold and like rust and shit. And this guy, that's his job.
Dan, let me pose a question to you.
I love questions.
What would you rather be stuck in the woods with? A man or a xenomorph?
Oh, definitely a xenomorph because a xenomorph is honest.
At least I know what its intentions are. A literal, almost 99% accurate quote from Marcy.
It's too close.
Yes, she essentially says she knows what a xenomorph's intentions are, and that's why she likes them so much.
Which definitely puts a point in the category of the show doesn't know that the kids are the real monsters because they're basically saying, no, the kids are telling their feelings and like saying what they think and doing their truth.
Kids are honest. That's their flaw.
And the xenomorph is doing so as well. Therefore, the monsters are the liars. So the liars are the bad guys. So I would like it to be that the kids are the monsters, but I could be wrong. Again,
No.
Tell us down below.
Okay, so after Boy freaks out, he goes and visits them. Marcy shows him that she can open the door. Also, they should have locked it and then cut the power to the cell so that she wouldn't have access to it. But anyway, they would have just bent the bars. Doesn't matter. So Boy goes down there and he's just like, flexing his knowledge on them and his masochism or his assholeness. And he's like, I killed my father because I was so smart, and he came from a long line of assholes, and he birthed the Messiah.
Do the voice. Do your parody.
Oh. And so he walks into the cell, all right, and then the boy genius looks at Marcy and he says, my father was a drunk. You want to know how I got this synth?
Legitimately. That's exactly what he does.
My father was a drinker. They do the dumbest thing ever of just walking into the cell after they find out that they can open the doors and that they are super powered kids.
And the security guard has one of those close range guns.
Close range guns that misses all the time.
That only works at close range.
Correct. If someone was running directly at me, I'd definitely shoot here and there. But he panicked. Firstly, Nibs just kills a guy. Just punches straight through his head, I imagine.
And
we
again,
didn't see
no one cares.
No one cares, especially not our superhero protagonist.
Smee does have second thoughts. He's like, was that kind of fucked up? But then 2.5 minutes later, he's like, they are the bad guys, I suppose.
Our moral high ground, Wendy, is completely fine with it. Anyway, she's like, it's your turn to run now. This is the part where you run, very tropey. Yeah. We've seen that before. And then so...
But a good guy would say that. Batman would say that.
Mm-hmm. She gives the kids their jobs. So Curly has to go after the guards.
Nibs has to go get Dame Silvia.
I like your bandana in this episode.
Also, we open on Dame.
During a lockdown that she knows the Xenomorph's out, by the way.
She's not even going to look for her husband, who
she should be looking for
disappeared.
her husband.
Her husband is on the beach. He's technically what we open on. But then we cut to Dame Silvia just going to the graves and being like, sorry, kids, I feel bad for trying to help you in a transition from a deathly sick state to immortality.
Moving apart the side of the whole thing is immoral and wrong, even though they saved their lives. It's a 50-50.
Yep. Devil's advocate.
She's the only human in this episode, her and her husband, who have been there for the kids and actually thinking about them.
Yep.
When Nibs had her first breakdown, she was like, no, we need to go at this with therapy first.
Curly comes and cuddles her last episode when she's scared.
She should have been the mother.
In the text, she is. She blatantly says, you're my children. She's not evil enough to kill, but she's still a real monster, so she gets locked up in a cell with the rest of them. But she goes out in the middle of this lockdown that has been going on for almost a full day at this point. There's no way all this happens in the space of an hour. So it's been a while of lockdown. It's
enough time for her husband's body to go from inside that cave and then out and around and wash up on a beach, and for crabs to start eating him.
Oh yeah, because they wouldn't have carried him halfway and then dropped him.
No, they just dumped him off the raft.
Yeah. So yes, legitimate time has passed.
Time has passed.
But at least he landed somewhere cinematic, so good for him.
He washed up on that, sure.
And Crab, always got to give an extra point for Crab. And then, but she's out in this lockdown. And she just wants to say sorry because we need to be reminded she exists, because she hasn't done anything in 3 episodes, maybe more. Nothing actually.
Not since the therapy session with Nibs.
And even that was her just going, oh, you're crazy. So she's done nothing this whole season. Her plot was pointless. Then the alien toys with its food like it does for main characters. So it is this far away and is just
instantly murdered every single other person.
And then it gets shot by the mercenaries that are friends with Joe, who have also had time to take Joe back from the boat and then go back out looking for more high-value targets. Mm-hmm. So, again, time has passed. So she snuck out legitimately, and no one was like, hey, don't go. But they shoot the Xenomorph, and instead of massacring them, the Xenomorph leaves completely.
They make the Xenomorph flip-flop, because 1 minute it's an untouchable serial killer who just goes after anybody, but then it is also a sneaky, I'll hide behind you until you turn around at the last second to go, bah!
It knows drama.
And then not just kill you straight away when you turn around.
And they hit it as well. The fact that they can even hit it. And it's it's baby/brother, cousin, the other egg, the recent chest burster. It does nothing this episode. It just hangs out with the bigger Xenomorph later on. We see them together. Why did we do that whole thing? Mm-hmm. It doesn't need to be efficiency, but it needs to develop someone or change a character at the very least. Instead, we just have another Xenomorph now on an island that is only filled with a small group of the real monsters and then a bunch of kids that are actually shitheads and I hate them. Mm-hmm. And then Weyland Yutani is coming, which is the big ending. So all they've done is set up season 2 where more troops land on the island. Wendy kills them all.
Her and her Xenomorph pets and the other robots.
Like, what is season 2?
Season 2 is going to be Joe, because at the end you see him kind of being like, oh, it's him coming to terms with like morality.
But that's not a season. That's not even like a setup. This is a setup for a finale at the very least. But that's what I mean. Like, we've gotten nowhere. This gives you nothing.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because the other episodes were stupid, but you could at least do something cool or wrap it up. Like, we've had our problems, but I think we've said at least some positive things about the other episodes. But this one, apart from the general atmosphere and all that.
And it was jumbled. I felt like things were like out of order, or like that really shouldn't have been next. You know, you'll fade to black on one scene and then it'll come back to the next scene and it's with that character again.
Yeah, like Morrow escapes, cocks his gun.
Next scene is him walking in on Kirsch. And I'm like, no, we just saw him.
Yeah.
There needs to be inserted a scene in between to show that time has passed.
Like, what did this look like in script format? Because Wendy goes from the cell to Boy Cavalier's office, back to the cell. Like, that's all she does this episode. That's all pretty much everyone does, is they start in the cell, leave the cell, end up back in the cell. Morrow starts in a cell, leaves the cell, punches Kirsch in the face, ends up back in a cell.
Curly doesn't even get the middle bit. She gets cell back to cell.
Yeah, she walks off screen to go get the guards. This is why this is a 44-minute episode, because they front-ended the season with like 4 or 5 hour episodes.
Yeah.
And they can barely scrape 40 for these.
Yeah, it was 2 45-minute episodes.
That includes intro and credits. Like, these aren't scraping by.
Arush and Smee are going to get Kirsch. So many names.
On so many names. The fact that you wait till the finale and then you change half the characters' names. That is a stupid idea.
You use their dead names, and then it's like some characters had 3 names now. Slightly and Smee are walking down the hall to get to the science lab, and then Arush says, remember, we didn't do anything wrong. People made us do it. No. Arush, you made Smee do bad things.
You threatened him.
You did bad things. Yes, Morrow was like coercing and threatening him, but Morrow was like, I'm not going to tell you what or how to do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
He decided he cherry-picked a human and killed him. Arush, you're a bad guy.
It's the same thing with Marcy, how it's like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. The Xenomorph killed everyone. It's just this weird lack of morality, and I don't know whether it comes from the writer not understanding what morality is.
Yes. Let's go to our most important and final character of the episode, Eyeball Monster.
What's that? Yet another character that had a lot of promise and was the coolest fucking thing ever. I think fan favorite. I haven't seen a single bad thing said about
No, people love Eyeball Monster.
Wham bam, thank you, man. Eyeball Monster does nothing.
What are people calling them on that?
I like Eileen personally.
Eileen's nice, like a sexy lady.
Yeah, because they do say it. They do call it her.
Eileen gets battered in this episode, and I'm like, this thing is durable. Like, synthetic Wendy kicks him into like a piano or something, and it's like
it has a comical sound when it hits. Yeah. But Bold Synthetic hangs out in Joe's room just to lead him back to the Eyeball Monster, who is just like out of the cage. And he walks in the room and there's like an open door of the cage. So it's like, obviously whatever was in the cage is out. But then he's just like looking around. Like, has he never played a video game? So Eileen then tries to get inside of Joe. You would think that Eileen would be good at getting inside people's eyes.
You think someone's done this?
Yeah. Well, Nibs does this, but you can be like, oh, Nibs has super strength, so this is fine. But no, he also blocks it for multiple times and is like, you're not getting in me. And then Wendy, of course, rocks up right at the right time. And then instead of us getting a cool scene where the eyeball gets to infect someone, anyone, I'll take anyone at this point. Apparently I get someone at the end. She just kicks it around for a bit, and then she does the hacking on Baldy. But then Eileen just leaves. Like, Eileen just slips through the drain in the floor because none of this facility is secure. Everyone keeps escaping from everywhere, crawling through things. The alien gets into the facility via a pipe on the beach.
Why would it go all the way to the beach? Do you know how many dead security guards it would have passed on the way?
Oh, God, so many.
Because we see a montage of dead security guards.
You're right.
It would have passed somebody or another human being.
But you see that drain in Cavalier's office pops out right next to the dead corpse of low sperm count.
Of course.
Because, again, yes, you were completely right. That is stupid, and I hate it more now. Thank you.
It can reanimate a dead body?
Not just a dead body, a day-old dead body.
He would have bled out. There wouldn't be any more blood circulating to fuel his muscles.
Yeah, the way they made it look was that it needed a live host, and it would crawl into that live host. Basically, while the host is going, it would hack into the brain and then just take complete control.
Yes.
And, like, you could do something creepy, how, like, Shmuel was alive and, like, thinking that whole time, but he can't control his actions because like Eileen is messing with his brain.
Puppet mastering. Please. Men in Black 2.
Yes.
The guy.
Like,
Orion's belt.
it can reanimate a corpse now that, doesn't have brain functions, doesn't have blood.
A lot of interesting things could happen with that eyeball monster.
The whole show should have been a backdoor pilot for Eyeball Monster.
Well, it's going to be the third protagonist of the next season.
We still don't even know if he's a good guy. Like, we know no more about anything. One more thing that they didn't do anything with until the end, I guess. The plant that was following around Isaac the whole second episode. At some point during the Kirschmorrow fight, the one alien we hadn't seen do anything yet, the plant thing, turns out he's like a bat jellyfish, kind of like...
Victory Bell.
He will scoop you up and eat you. There's nothing interesting about him apart from he does that.
We don't see how it does that. It literally just covers you in like a Batman cloak and then it just goes munch.
That's what happens to Red Braids. And she's just dead now. Curly attacks the other remaining friend of the team. And they do the dumb thing that I hate where like a guy gets attacked and then his bullets kill everyone else in the room, which they've done in this show at least 2 or 3 times by this point.
It never gets old.
It's just lazy. I don't think I liked anything about this apart from, again, it looks pretty. I guess the acting was good. I just don't like anything that they were given.
I wish Boy Cavalier was like, maybe he's getting somewhere. He should have started like this.
At the risk of sounding like we like billionaire douchebags with ADHD, he's more likable than the kids. Like, he has a personality, I guess.
This character definitely wasn't based off someone in real life, were they?
I legitimately don't know where to go with this because every other episode, it's kind of like, oh, there's some problems. If you fixed these problems, this would have been a cool thing.
Some things are forgivable because, like, you know, there is some good stuff that holds it up.
Yeah, like, we were watching it. We weren't, like, actively, like, hating it the whole time. Last episode stretched that probably to its limits. But this one was really stupid. And, like, nothing they did here changes anything. It was kind of like everything they did this episode was wasted opportunities. And we're going to have to make a series wrap-up where we call it wasted opportunities or something because, damn.
It has not been renewed for a season 2 yet.
I kind of think I want it to be so that they have a chance to redeem themselves. Realistically, everything they had in episode 1, they still have, and they've still done nothing with. So there's the same amount of potential. There's just a bunch of bullshit in the middle there. But also I want bad shows to be punished so that other creators look at bad shows and go, oh, I shouldn't do that.
I think season 2 is going to be Alien Earth. I think Yutani will capture at least one of the Xenomorphs, and then Wendy and her Xenomorph, and at least one of the remaining kids and Joe, and maybe Eyeball Monster, are all going to have to go into the city to fight Yutani and get the other Xenomorph back.
I just hate that should have been this season. This show shouldn't exist. Like, they did nothing with this show. They spent 6 episodes setting up nothing, and then the 7th episode paying off nothing.
Each season needs to be its own contained story. As well as leading into a second season, you need to be able to watch one season of a show and be like, wow, I loved how those things they were doing at the start wrapped up at the end. This character was developed. We saw their true colors. XYZ happened. There is no payoff, and I will never go back to watch season 1 of this show. I will watch a 45-minute recap before season 2 comes out because I'm sure it'll go season 2.
Watch our 45-minute recap coming next week, probably.
In episode 1 or 2, I was talking about the difference between disappointment and hate. And I want to revisit that because I am disappointed, but it's different with a season finale. I've now put just under 7 hours into this show that didn't pay off anything. It's not rewarding. Yeah, a show, I give you my time, you give me good story.
It is now a waste of your time. And there were several comments along the way of you can't say it's bad until the whole thing's out. I think that's stupid because otherwise why would they release it weekly? But the whole thing is out now and it's bad. So thank you for watching. Hopefully we gave you more value and paid off our story arcs better than this show did. We've developed as people, I promise.
At least you know what my intentions were.
I don't know if I promised you guys this for being members, but thank you, Timothonathy, and I just saw a messy.
Thanks. We appreciate you guys a lot.
Thank you very much.